Here's your wrestling news for May 15th, 2022. And your headlines for today include Charlotte Flair and Andrade El Idolo getting marriage day fixed. Sad news concerning Madcap Moss suffered major injury on WWE SmackDown this week. Big E sports neck brace at recent public appearance. Spoiler, Aces and Eights return at Impact Wrestling tapings. AEW accused of copying Goldberg with Wardlow storyline. Former WWE wrestler reveals he is suffering from stage 2 colon cancer. Is WWE renaming the SmackDown Women's Championship? Belief in NXT is that WWE wrestler is headed to AEW. Killer Kross's email blew up with offers after his WWE release. The Bloodline reacts to epic viral video impersonation. CM Punk, Britt Baker, and more confirmed for Carpool Karaoke the series. Britt Baker spotted during Pittsburgh Penguins NHL playoff game, and more. We're starting today with Money in the Bank, as there's been plenty of talk about what this year's ladder match winners will receive. While the winners usually earn a title match over the next 12 months, an ad during WrestleMania Backlash saw Cody Rhodes say the winners will main event WrestleMania 39. We reported yesterday that the Mania plans reportedly do not involve the ladder match winners, and it seems WWE themselves don't know what's going on. When Dave Meltzer spoke to sources within WWE, he was told that there is nothing definitive either way, despite the commercial airing. With Money in the Bank on July 2nd, WWE will have to decide what the prize is for the two ladder matches, but this has made for a very confusing build-up to the popular premium live event. This week, Charlotte Flair started a hiatus from WWE following her loss to Ronda Rousey. While WWE have said that her absence is due to an injury, it's believed that Charlotte's time off is to marry her fiancé, AEW's Andrade El Idolo. It turns out that their wedding is sooner than you'd think, as on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer noted that the pair are set to tie the knot during the upcoming Memorial Day weekend. That puts their wedding somewhere between May 27th and May 30th, and there's of course the honeymoon the pair will be able to enjoy after. For a possible return date, it's believed that the Queen will be back this summer, but it won't be long until Charlotte Flair is a married woman. During this week's SmackDown, the feud between Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss continued, with Corbin attacking his ex-tag partner with his own Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal trophy. This was one of the more violent parts of this week's SmackDown, and WWE have given an update on Moss's condition. As first reported on Talking Smack and later announced on Twitter, Moss is dealing with a cervical contusion, with no time window as to when he'll return. Of course, we can't rule out that this injury is part of the story, similar to what Corbin and Moss did to Drew McIntyre earlier this year. While Madcap Moss got the win at WrestleMania Backlash, it was Corbin who was all smiles after SmackDown, as their feud shows no signs of slowing down. We've got news from Big E now, who continues to recover from his recent broken neck. There's still no sign of when he'll be back, but Big E is remaining positive, judging by some photos he's posted online. On social media, Big E looks to be doing well despite sporting a neck brace, and the former WWE champion is looking as well as you'd expect, given the circumstances. We've got some huge spoilers coming from Impact Wrestling now, so if you don't want to get spoiled on the latest TV tapings, we'd recommend skipping the next 30 seconds of the video. At the latest Impact tapings, Aces and Eights reunited as faction members Wes Briscoe and Garrett Bischoff returned to the company to face Vincent and Kenny King. The two were managed by fellow Aces and Eights alum D'Lo Brown, but we can't say for sure if this is a permanent move for the group or just a one-off reunion. We should find out whether the group, once led by Bully Ray, is back for good, but whatever the case, the Aces and Eights reunion served as a major moment of the latest Impact tapings. In AEW, Wardlow has been enjoying a dominant run since turning face, toppling opponents left and right on his path to facing MJF. In the past, Wardlow has said he's a big fan of Batista and shares a lot in common with the former WWE World Champion, but according to Disco Inferno, AEW are liberally borrowing from a wrestling legend, but not the animal. On the Keepin' It 100 podcast, Disco said that AEW is copying Goldberg with their use of Wardlow, calling it obvious. While Wardlow may be flattening opponents with the same dominance seen by the WWE Hall of Famer, this has been a trope in wrestling for decades, and Wardlow is just the latest to benefit from a monster push. We've got some tragic news from Virgil now, who's been diagnosed with stage 2 colon cancer. In recent months, the former $1 Million champion has been suffering from a series of health issues and broke his most recent sad news to his fans on Twitter. In his tweet, Virgil said he can't afford any of his medical bills and shared a PayPal pool for anyone who wants to donate and help him out. Virgil was a staple of the WWF for years and has kept fans entertained in more recent years with his hilarious actions online, and we're sending him the very best at this difficult time. At WrestleMania Backlash, Ronda Rousey dethroned Charlotte Flair to capture the SmackDown Women's Championship, but that's not how the new champion sees things. While Rousey certainly made Flair say "I quit," it appears WWE, or at least Ronda, are pushing for the title to be renamed. On last night's SmackDown, Rousey called herself as the SmackDown Champion and said that she was issuing an open challenge for the SmackDown Championship. This doesn't appear to be a botch, as in the run-up to WrestleMania 38, Rousey declared that she would be the next SmackDown champion and asked, "Why do we even say women in it anyway?" During last night's show, Pat McAfee asked if the match was indeed for the SmackDown Championship, but it's worth mentioning that Michael Cole and ring announcer Samantha Irvine both addressed Rousey as the SmackDown Women's Champion. It'll ultimately be up to Vince McMahon if this proposed name becomes permanent, but it's possible that a big change is coming to the women of the blue brand. When Killer Kross was released from WWE last year, it came after a dominant run in NXT and an underwhelming tenure on the main roster. Stuck with a gimmick neither he nor the fans wanted, Kross on Raw wasn't meant to be, but he's since returned to the independent circuit where he's faring much better. Speaking on the Wrestling Inc. Daily this week, Kross recalled his departure and how he was worried how things looked for him after his time with WWE. Me personally, I was like, I don't know what the state or the national economic situation is looking like. I have no idea what's out there. But as soon as we put our booking emails up, we got blown up immediately with a million types of different things, not even just wrestling, a variety of different types of directions of business and revenue and everything. We basically just take our time whenever we can find it to assess each day when one of them comes in. Having worked for New Japan, WrestlePro, Warrior Wrestling, and MLW since his release, Kross is certainly being kept busy, despite his concerns immediately after being cut. Back to WWE as the Bloodline continues to dominate the company, holding the undisputed WWE Universal title and the SmackDown Tag Team titles, and earning a ton of fans in the process. Some fans recently decided to do an impression of the faction, which quickly went viral online and caught the attention of WWE. In a video of their own, the Bloodline can be seen reacting, with Paul Heyman arguing that they should file a lawsuit against the impersonators because the man who impersonated him really nailed his part. While the Bloodline may be heels, it's impossible to doubt their popularity with fans, and the fans in this video acknowledge their tribal chief in their own hilarious way. More from AEW now, as the company continues to push itself into the mainstream and will now have a role on the next season of Carpool Karaoke, the series. In a video trailer for the upcoming 5th season, it's confirmed that CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Christian Cage, Ruby Soho, Powerhouse Hobbs, MJF, and Dr. Britt Baker will all be featured on the show. MJF will be sharing the car with Soho and Hobbs, while Cage, Baker, Punk, and Danielson will be riding together as well. And with the new season dropping this month, it won't be long before fans get to see and hear these stars of AEW. And we're ending with more from Britt Baker, as the DMD was recently spotted at an NHL Pittsburgh Penguins game. In the playoffs with the New York Rangers, Baker can be seen in the crowd, which shouldn't be too surprising considering that she's very proud to be from Pittsburgh. Unfortunately for Baker, her presence couldn't save the Pittsburgh Penguins being defeated 5-3 to the Rangers, but it's clear that the former AEW Women's World Champion had a great time, regardless of the result. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.